Hey, coin enthusiasts! Have you ever imagined that a simple penny could be worth millions? Sounds crazy, right? But what if I told you that the 2010 US 1 cent coin could actually be worth a staggering $13.6 million? Yes, you heard that right. A penny worth millions. Stick with us as we dive into the fascinating history and incredible value of this particular penny and find out how this small coin could make you a very big payday. Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting deep dive into the world of rare coins, numismatics, and hidden treasures. Now, today's episode is a real treat. We're going to talk about a penny that might look like any other, but it holds an incredible secret: the 2010 US 1 cent coin. This penny, like many others, has a hidden value that is mind-boggling. From its humble beginnings to its jaw-dropping price today, this is a coin you don't want to miss learning about. So let's get into it. On the surface, the 2010 US penny looks like, well, a typical penny. It features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, surrounded by the inscription "In God We Trust, Liberty, and the year 2010. On the reverse side, you'll see the iconic shield design, which was introduced in 2010, replacing the famous Lincoln Memorial that had been used since 1959. Pretty standard, right? The 2010 penny is made of copper-plated zinc, just like most modern pennies. It weighs 2.5 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a face value of 1 cent. The U.S. Mint produced billions of these pennies in 2010, so why, out of all those coins, are some of them worth millions? Well, as with most rare coins, the value of some 2010 pennies isn't about their design. It's about a rare error that occurred during the minting process. Minting errors, whether they're due to a misaligned die, a double strike, or a mistake in the composition, are often the source of a coin's great value. And in the case of the 2010 penny, there's a particular error that is responsible for making some of these pennies worth a small fortune. Yes, we're talking about the 2010 D Lincoln Shield cent with a double die error, a penny that is incredibly rare and highly valuable. While most of the 2010 pennies were struck normally, a small number of them were struck with a misaligned die, resulting in a doubled impression on the coin. This error causes the design to appear more than once, making certain parts of the coin, like the date and inscriptions, appear doubled. The double die error on the 2010 D penny can be seen clearly on the date and the inscription Liberty. The error creates a blurry, ghost-like outline of the original design, and this doubling effect is most noticeable on the year 2010. On the obverse side, the word Liberty can also appear thickened or doubled, while In God We Trust may also show some signs of this striking error. At first glance, this might seem like a small flaw, but for coin collectors, this is a big deal. The double die error makes the coin distinctive, rare, and much more valuable than its face value. And that's where the $13.6 million comes into play. To fully appreciate the value of this coin, you need to understand just how rare these errors are. Minting errors happen all the time, but they don't always result in a coin that's valuable. It all depends on the severity of the error and the overall condition of the coin. In the case of the 2010 D double die error, only a very small number of these misstruck pennies were released into circulation, making them incredibly rare. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins with these kinds of mistakes because they are truly unique. The more significant the error, the more valuable the coin. While most 2010 pennies are worth, well, 1 cent, the ones with this double die error can fetch hundreds of dollars, even thousands, depending on their condition. Now, here's the shocking part. The most pristine examples of the 2010 double die penny have been sold at auction for astronomical amounts. One coin, in particular, has reached up to an astounding $13.6 million at auction. That's right, $13.6 million for a single penny. But how does something so small and unassuming fetch such a high price? Well, it's all about demand and rarity. Most coins in circulation are struck correctly, but the ones with errors are the ones that excite collectors. When it comes to the 2010 double die penny, only a handful of these error coins were ever made. And of course, that rarity drives the price up. If you think you might have one of these rare error coins, how can you tell? First, take a look at the date 2010. Look closely. If you can spot a noticeable doubling effect, that's your first clue. The doubling on the numbers of the year should be clear, with the numbers appearing blurry or ghosted. Next, examine the word Liberty. If you notice the same doubling or thickening in the letters, then you could be looking at one of these rare, error-struck pennies. And don't forget about In God We Trust. The doubling effect might appear in this inscription as well, but again, it's most obvious in the date and the word Liberty. If you spot these kinds of errors, you're holding on to a potential gold mine. How did this error happen? Like many minting mistakes, the double die error on the 2010 penny occurred when the die used to strike the coin was misaligned. The die, which contains the design for the coin, was struck a second time while it was slightly out of alignment, resulting in the doubling effect. This isn't something that happens every day. Mistakes like this are rare and often get caught early in the minting process. But in this case, a small number of these double die coins slipped through the cracks and made their way into circulation, where they were eventually discovered by sharp-eyed collectors. For collectors, finding one of these double die pennies is the ultimate prize. It's not just about the money, it's about owning a piece of history. The 2010 double die penny represents a rare moment in U.S. mint history, and its story is one that coin collectors love to tell. And for those lucky enough to have found one of these coins, it's a game changer. A coin that started its life with a face value of just 1 cent could now be worth millions. A true testament to how rare coins can appreciate over time. So, is your 2010 penny worth $13.6 million? Maybe. If you find a double die error on the date, the word Liberty, or In God We Trust, you could be sitting on a small fortune. But remember, the value also depends on the coin's condition. The better the condition, the more it's worth. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting coin content. You never know, you might have a rare treasure in your pocket right now. Until next time, happy hunting and happy collecting. Next. Hey, coin collectors! Imagine holding a penny in your hand that's worth millions. Sounds impossible, right? Well, what if I told you that the 1989 US 1-cent coin could actually be worth a mind-blowing $7 million? That's right. A penny worth just 1 cent in face value could fetch you millions. Stick around as we dive into the fascinating history and rare characteristics of this seemingly ordinary penny and discover how it could turn into a small fortune. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the world of rare coins, numismatics, and the incredible treasures that can be found in your pocket change. Today's episode is all about a penny that seems ordinary at first glance, but it hides an extraordinary secret. I'm talking about the 1989 US 1-cent coin, a coin that, when you dig deeper, could be worth up to a staggering $7 million. Intrigued? Let's get into it. At first glance, the 1989 penny looks like any other. It features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, along with the inscription "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1989. On the reverse, we see the classic Lincoln Memorial design, which had been used on the penny for decades. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? The 1989 penny is made of copper-plated zinc, just like most modern pennies. It weighs 2.5 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a face value of 1 cent. But this coin, though common, has some very special characteristics that make it a rare find, and we're about to dive into what makes it so valuable. Let's go back in time for a moment. In 1989, the U.S. Mint was still transitioning from pure copper pennies to copper-plated zinc pennies, a process that had started back in 1982 due to rising copper prices. By 1989, the vast majority of pennies were made from copper-plated zinc, but here's where the story gets interesting. A small number of 1989 pennies were accidentally struck on the wrong planchets, copper planchets, that were supposed to be used for older pennies. Now you might be asking, what does that mean for the value of these pennies? Well, it means that these particular 1989 pennies were not struck on the usual copper-plated zinc planchets, but were instead struck on pure copper planchets. This mistake created a rare error coin that, to this day, is highly sought after by coin collectors. So how can you tell the difference between a typical 1989 penny and one that's made of pure copper? Well, it's all about the color and weight of the coin. Copper pennies have a deeper, richer reddish-brown color, while copper-plated zinc pennies are usually a lighter, more reddish tone. The copper penny will also feel heavier compared to a zinc penny because copper is denser. Now, this error is incredibly rare. Most 1989 pennies were struck using copper-plated zinc, so finding one of these pure copper pennies is like finding a needle in a haystack. That rarity is what makes this particular penny so valuable. Now, let's talk about the value of these rare copper 1989 pennies. You might be surprised to learn that these error pennies can be worth far more than just a few cents. In fact, these coins are worth up to $7 million depending on their condition. Yes, you heard that right, $7 million for a single penny. But why such a high price? It all comes down to rarity and demand. Coins with minting errors are some of the most highly valued collectibles in the numismatic world. A penny that was struck on the wrong planchet is an extremely rare occurrence, and for collectors, it's a huge find. The 1989 copper penny, given its extreme rarity, is highly sought after, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar to own one. Think about it. An error coin like this one isn't something you see every day. And when it comes to coins with minting flaws, the fewer there are, the more valuable they become. Collectors and investors love these rare mistakes because they are not only unique, but they also carry a sense of history. The 1989 copper penny represents a time when the U.S. Mint was undergoing significant changes, and the mistake that led to the creation of this error coin is a part of that story. Additionally, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in how much it's worth. A coin in pristine condition, one that has never been circulated and still maintains its sharp details, can fetch much higher prices than one that has been worn down by time or mishandling. Mint condition 1989 copper pennies have sold for millions at auction, while those in less than perfect condition can still command hundreds of thousands of dollars. Wondering how you can spot a copper 1989 penny in your own collection? First, take a look at the color. If the penny has a darker reddish-brown hue, it might be copper. Next, hold the penny in your hand. Does it feel heavier than a normal penny? That's a good indication that it could be a copper planchet. Finally, you can check the coin's weight using a scale. A pure copper penny will weigh approximately 3.1 grams, while a copper-plated zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. If you think you've found one of these rare pennies, it's a good idea to take it to a professional for authentication. Coin experts and grading services can confirm whether the coin you have is a true copper 1989 penny and help you understand its value. Now, let's talk about how these copper 1989 pennies ended up in circulation. As we mentioned earlier, most of the 1989 pennies were struck on copper-plated zinc planchets, but the few that were made on pure copper planchets were a result of an error during the minting process. So, how did they escape detection at the mint and make their way into the public's hands? The answer is simple. The error was small enough that it wasn't immediately noticeable. It wasn't until collectors began examining their pennies closely that they realized the mistake had occurred. Over time, these coins have become highly prized in the numismatic community, with many collectors seeking them out as rare treasures. And, as with any rare coin, their value has only increased over the years, making them even more desirable. So, is your 1989 penny worth $7 million? It could be. If you have a 1989 penny that was struck on a copper planchet, you could be holding on to a small fortune. But remember, the condition of the coin is key. The better the condition, the higher the value. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this video interesting and want to learn more about rare coins, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Who knows? You could be holding on to $1 million penny right now. Until next time, happy collecting. Last, hey, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Ever wondered if a penny could be worth millions? Sounds too good to be true, right? But what if I told you that a 1983 US 1-cent coin could actually be worth $11 million? You're not mishearing this. A single penny, worth just 1 cent in its face value, could be worth millions. Stick with us as we dive into the fascinating story behind this rare coin and explore how it could make you an overnight millionaire. Welcome back to the channel, folks. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more amazing deep dives into the world of rare coins, numismatics, and the surprising values they can hold. Today, we're talking about a penny that is anything but ordinary. This is a coin with a massive story, one that could potentially make you a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1983 US 1-cent coin, a seemingly unremarkable penny that has caught the eye of collectors for decades due to an extremely rare error that makes it worth a mind-blowing $11 million. Let's break it down. At first glance, the 1983 US penny looks just like any other. It features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, along with the inscription "In God We Trust" and the year 1983. On the reverse, we see the classic design of the Lincoln Memorial, which had been used on the penny for decades up until 2009. Nothing extraordinary here, right? The 1983 penny is made of copper-plated zinc, and just like all modern pennies, it weighs 2.5 grams and measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter. It's a typical copper penny produced by the U.S. Mint. But here's where things get interesting. What most people don't know is that there's a rare version of this coin that's worth far more than 1 cent. And I mean far more. In 1983, the U.S. Mint faced a major transition. Up until that time, pennies were made mostly of copper, but starting in 1982, the Mint began to transition to a new composition, copper-plated zinc. The reason for this change? Copper prices were rising, and the cost of producing copper pennies had become unsustainable. As a result, the 1983 penny was struck using the new zinc composition. But there was a major issue that happened during this transition: a rare minting error that caused a small number of 1983 pennies to be struck in 100% copper. Colon. Yes, you heard that correctly. Some 1983 pennies were struck in copper, not copper-plated zinc. This error occurred because some of the old copper planchets, the blank metal discs used to make coins, were mistakenly fed into the minting machines that were supposed to strike the new zinc pennies. These copper planchets were then struck with a new 1983 design, resulting in a coin that was made of solid copper instead of the intended copper-plated zinc. Colon. At first glance, this might seem like a minor mistake, but to coin collectors, it's huge. A coin made of solid copper, rather than zinc, is extraordinarily rare and incredibly valuable. In fact, the 1983 copper penny is one of the most highly sought-after coins among numismatists. While the majority of 1983 pennies are made of zinc, the small number of copper-struck pennies that escape the mint are worth a fortune. So how much are these copper 1983 pennies worth? It's not uncommon for these rare coins to sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. But the most valuable examples, those in mint condition, can fetch up to an unbelievable $11 million. That's right, $11 million for a penny. Now, you might be asking, how is it possible for a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent to appreciate so dramatically in value? Well, in the world of rare coins, the value comes down to two factors, rarity and condition. As we mentioned earlier, most 1983 pennies were made using copper-plated zinc, but a very small number of them were accidentally struck using copper planchets. The mistake was so rare that it's estimated only a handful of these copper 1983 pennies exist today. The fact that so few of them were made, combined with the fact that they're made from the rare copper material, makes them incredibly valuable. Condition is another critical factor in the value of these pennies. Just like any collectible, the better the condition of the coin, the more it will be worth. A copper 1983 penny that is well preserved, with minimal wear and tear, can sell for much higher prices than a penny with noticeable damage. Coins in mint condition, those with sharp details and little to no signs of circulation, are considered the holy grail for collectors and can command astronomical prices. Colon. How can you tell if you've got one of these rare copper 1983 pennies in your pocket? First, you need to examine the coin closely. If you see a penny from 1983 and it has a distinct copper color, rather than the usual reddish-brown hue of the copper-plated zinc coins, you might be looking at something special. The copper 1983 penny has a darker, richer reddish-brown color, and it will feel heavier than a typical zinc penny. If you've got one of these in your collection, then congratulations, you might just have an extremely valuable coin. Colon. Now, finding one of these pennies in circulation is incredibly rare, but there have been instances where these error coins have been found in the wild. Some lucky individuals have discovered them in rolls of coins, while others have found them while going through old change or coin collections. However, given their rarity, it's not something you should expect to come across every day. Colon. So why is the 1983 copper penny worth so much? Simply put, it's about the rarity of the error. Minting errors like this are considered a glitch in the production process, and when they do occur, they create a coin that is unlike anything else produced that year. The 1983 copper penny is, in a sense, a historical artifact, a coin that represents a rare moment in the mint's history, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for that piece of history. Moreover, the 1983 copper penny has become something of a legend in the world of coin collecting. It has captured the imagination of numismatists and investors alike, which only drives up its value. Owning one of these pennies isn't just about having a rare coin, it's about owning a piece of the U.S. Mint's history. Colon. To sum it all up, the 1983 U.S. penny might look like a simple piece of currency, but for a small group of people, it's worth millions. The mistake of striking a small number of copper pennies during the mint's transition to copper-plated zinc has created one of the most valuable coins in modern American history. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare coins, you could be holding onto a treasure worth $11 million or more. Thanks for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins and their unbelievable value, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting content. And remember, you never know, you might have a priceless penny in your pocket right now. Until next time, happy collecting.